What's good? It's your boy, Paulus Harris, aka the Crazy Uncle. Hey, guess what? It's your first time tuning in. Go ahead, hit the subscribe button, hit notification bell every time I post up new content. Well, people, unless you've been on a rock for the past couple of days, we already know what's happening in Los Angeles right now. You know, a lot of people want to blame this shit on Trump or whatever. But the thing about it, though, is that okay? Like, look, when somebody tell you they gonna do something, then they do it, then y'all bitch. Then people want to riot, even if that is a damn riot down there, right? And I was, in other case, put it like this: people are always gonna ask the question why this, why that, why the other, right? And you get some people that can actually really answer those questions for you. Yes, tasty beverage, as always. Well, with the exception of yesterday. So in either case, we got the riots that's going on now. And for those of y'all that are actually like really old enough, y'all can actually like really remember what happened back in 1992 with the Rodney King riots. And then even though I did a show on that, I said, hey, look, go back and look at the footage, right? If Rodney King got his ass whooped, then guess what? I got my ass whooped too, right? That's why That's why those police officers got off. But then let's stop, hold the press. Let's actually really go back some 27 years earlier to 1965 with the Watts riots. Watts being like a subdivision of Los Angeles. And then even if you go back 22 years earlier than that, there was a riot that happened down there in Los Angeles. So there's three riots right there. And God knows however many other stuff that Los Angeles has been associated with as far as like violence, regardless of regardless of where it's coming from. Right? Los Angeles has always been one of those cities that, okay, yeah, you might have to watch where the fuck you going in some areas of the city. But then again, some of y'all may say, well, hey, well, that's in every city, crazy huh? And guess what? You got that right, you know? But with this particular city, Los Angeles, California, or Los Angeles, I know I done told y'all that before. You really have to sometimes you really have to you might have to like put certain emphasis and be like, okay, well, why is all this shit always happening here? Well, it's quite simple, people. Look at the title. Look at how I did it, right? And then for you so-called Christians out there, right? Y'all know about the war in heaven, right? Michael and his angels fought. Lucifer and his angels fought. Lucifer lost, so just know when he got cast out, his tail. Now, here's the deal. In the Bible, it says it spells tail, Tail, right? Tail, right? But if you actually really stop and think about it for a minute, his tail, Tale, brought a third of the angels down here on the airplane, and they just so happened to land. Put like this: out of the third that landed, just know half of them bastards landed in Las Vegas, and the other half landed in doggone Los Angeles. Right? Now, to actually really take this shit a little bit further, right? Let's actually really look at the United States as if it was a motherfucking human person. Washington, D.C., right? Where all of the laws are established, right? The brain controls on. That would be classified as the doggone head cavity of the human body. So they always, and you know, then you also got to look at it like this. What they always say, as soon as you cut the head off, the body is going to follow. So you look at all of this stuff that goes on in Washington, D.C. Everything is controlled by the brain. Now let's look at the city, Las Vegas, which is spelled Vegas. And I know I just said this a couple of days ago. Vegas versus the vagus nerve, which the only letter that you got to change out of there, you got to change the A out with the what? U. And what they always say, whatever happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Okay? So, so like I say, so when you look at it from that aspect, right? Then you motherfuckers, it's actually, it actually really becomes clear on why all that stuff for the history of the city of Los Angeles or Los Angeles, right? That's why all that shit is going on there, right? And then because you want to get the illegals out of there, right? But if you actually really stop and think about it for a minute, which I said this months ago, this was like during the whole election thing. I told y'all then, hey, look, you bringing all these people over illegally, but just know this, right? You motherfuckers might want to actually like really want to Google or go back and watch that show that I did do when I actually like really gave y'all the 12 tribes of Israel, right? Versus who they are today. And then if you ask, and then you wonder why the Democrats, right? They did that. I mean, great the fact, sometimes, right? You can do shit and then okay, motherfucker be like, okay, yeah. But then you can do shit and you be like, why the fuck you doing it? Not really knowing it, not really knowing the true reason behind it. Not to say that that's the case. Well, actually, I am saying it's the case. But all I'm saying is that all this shit that's going on in Los Angeles, you already know that the powers that be, they do history too. They read up on the Bible too, right? And it's the powers that be or the powers that shouldn't be gave those two cities, Las Vegas, Los Angeles, because they already knew, right? All right, if we gonna do any type of fucked up shit, right? Just know that these two cities are gonna be like the main base for everything else. Then somebody gonna say, well, what about Atlantic City? Okay, what about it? I'm just actually really talking about the two that I'm just talking about the third of the angels that came down with Lucifer. And this is where the fuck they set up shop at. Right? Now, if anybody else can come up with a better explanation than what the hell I just gave you, then hey, by all means, I'm here to listen. Crazy uncle, I'm put it like this. I'm always here to listen. I'm not gonna just sit up here and be like, okay, well, hey, look, this is how I feel. I invite any, put it like this. I invite any other way, any comments or whatever. But if you call me dumb motherfucker, then yeah, I'm gonna chop you down at the ankles. All right. So just like I said, I just thought that I would say that much, right? And then if you actually really just stop and think about it for a minute, you 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 can't help but say, you know what? That make a lot of damn sense. So with that being said, tell your mama, tell your daddy, tell Big Dan, tell Big Bertha, your uncle, your auntie, your grandma, your papa. Motherfucker next door across the street around the corner, Paulus Harris, aka Crazy Uncle. I'm gonna holler at y'all.